had a slight problem. Couldn't. Let me give her my rant today. Google, quit updating shit if you guys don't know what you're doing. They've updated my Android phone, and they took away the upload button for YouTube, and I had to do the hokey pokey to get it. So, well, we're on anyway, so.
I'm gonna check here and make sure.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah, it's working. No problem. Sounds good. Picture looks alright.
Okay, they got an update for me on this. No, thank you. Uh-oh, I gotta do re-entry. Shoot.
Always something, sadly.
Let's see here, settings. I don't want to update Wi-Fi.
It's gonna be another cord here, so
Whatever.
I'm making some noise. Shouldn't be. Sing that loud the other day.
Okay. We're in there. Rewatching. All right. Rewatching. I got the chat up, so if you guys want to chat, we can see that. John's making him some custom wheels. Let me see one of them wheels I'll show him. John has made the replacements for them light wheels. Turn them up on the lathe. Pretty nice.
too much of a pain in the butt when you're using machinery that has a whole lot of
Slop.
slop in it and stuff. You know, you can think that you're turning it in 1,000th or whatever, and it might be
Quarter inch.
3,000ths, it might be 10,000ths, you never know. So everything you do, you gotta put lines on it and sort of creep up on it. What a pain in the butt.
All I brought over here today was this stab. It won't be a long day today, it'll just be a short day.
I'm gonna make some noise. I'm trying to cut these corners off so I don't have to machine as much material down. What a pain in the butt.
Sidewalk with no shadow. doesn't have a switch on it?
I can't get to it. It doesn't have a press button to lock it on. So I had to tape it on and then clamp it in the vise. And that cuts all that aluminum off there where I don't have to.
Put it on the nose of your airplane.
Oh, yeah. I'll just melt this down and mold a spinner.
Yeah.
I could probably. Should have seen the scrap that I had. I made these things out of a piece of 2-inch round stock.
Yeah. Why are you using square stuff?
I can machine it whatever thickness I want, really. It's sort of a pain in the butt, because on that, I've got to cut a long piece and then slice donuts off of it. It's sort of a pain in the butt, and I was trying to come up with an easier way. Cut out of the milling step, you know. So I did these. I'll do these and stick them on this piece. This is like a little arbor form. And then I can turn them down to this line, which is a little big. And they're just a hair thicker than the rims are supposed to be. So, because of that, I can turn them down a little bit easier.
Yeah, I can't stay too long today. I gotta go to see our bus. I just got a lot of running to do.
Yeah. How's that van coming along at work?
The interlock's screwed up.
Really?
Yeah. Man, you got yourself a Farmer John Woodcraft bib. High dollar.
Farmer John what?
Woodcraft bib.
Yeah.
How much was that?
Wasn't very much, $10 or something like that.
Isn't that special?
And when you're turning on metal and stuff like that, you want to turn it inside out, wear it inside out, because the pockets fill up with metal chips.
So, when did you go back over there?
Oh, I've had that for a while. This, if you're wanting to know what this cone is for, you make your rims up, try to put them tires on that rim.
Oh, I see.
So you put that tire on there and slide it down there and it spreads the tire out and it pops down over the rim. And then you gotta take something and work around the edge of it to put the bead, to find a little bead in it. It fit tight. I couldn't take that. Now this is one of the stock rubbers.
Mm-hmm. That we can't get no
And
more.
we can't get no more. I gotta find that foam somewhere. But I've been looking for it and I haven't found it yet. It's out there. But I couldn't take my fingers and mount that on there. So I just made a cone like we did in RC car days.
I can put my air filters on with. I use a drift. Stick it down in the venturi and then push the thing over the drift.
Yeah, well, that's the easiest way to do it.
Windex, that helps too.
Yeah, a little lube on there or something is fine. I did them dry and it worked out okay. Sort of semi-polished. But anyway, it just fits in the axle hole with no bushings in it. That makes sure it stays centered. And this is just an arbor for turning these things.
Yeah.
Put that on there, and then I've got, when you have these inside machined out, sometimes you need a smaller end, so I made a washer.
Mm-hmm.
Goes on there, and then you can clamp this tire without the bushings in it on there, and and still have all that exposed in there for sanding or polishing or whatever. I polished them all and I sand them all on the lathe. And then I got this one, which is wide for the main machining operation. Just run that screw in there and tighten it down. Locks everything in there, and you turn the diameter and you turn the groove down in there for the.
And flip it over to the other side.
Yeah, you flip it back and forth for cutting the inside out. You use this little washer for that.
How do you know how thick the inside is?
It's a pain. You got to know how deep to go. This is X thickness, and you want a web inside there. It's called, when you cut these grooves, it's called tray panning. Tray panning. I'm not pronouncing that right. Tray panning. And it takes a special bit because this is spinning on here. And you're coming in here with a cutting bit that's got to be cut back on this outside, and it could be almost straight down on the inside, but the outside, you got a diameter coming around there and it wants to hit on the bottom of your cutting tool. So you got to grind that away enough and then make them thin and fragile. That's why a rotary table would be so great on one of these. You could set them down over a pin and do the same basic thing. Put this little washer and screw in there, and that would bolt everything down. This is in a chuck, and then just take a cutter bit and run around in there.
You'd be able to make that yourself.
Well, rotary table's got a little dial, and it would just sit there and just spin that thing just like that around whatever you want. That's why you use rotary table.
I know, but you should be able to make that tool to do that yourself. Rotary table, you know, is for indexing, but if you just want to spin it, you should be able to make that.
Well, I did. I made a tray panning tool. It's sort of a...
No, so you can do it on your mill.
Well, yeah, there's multiple ways I could do it. I could use a regular bit in there, or you can use a adjustable, what do they call them things? Okay, now I got brain lock. God dang it. I hate when I do this. But anyway, there's a cutter tool that you can adjust it in and out, and it spins around like this. They're sort of dangerous. I don't like using them too much. In fact, I've got one somewhere around here, and I don't like using it because that blade's out there and the flailing around. And of course, when I'm thinking about it, I can't find it.
Well, good morning, Gary. I gave John the calendar, finally.
Thank you, Gary. Of course, I can't find the thing when I want it.
Brought him a piece of brass tubing, since I've used a couple little pieces. Figure, I got a whole bunch of it now, 5 pieces. That's more than I'll use in a lifetime. Rico!
It'll surprise you.
John, do you mean a boring head for the mill?
Yeah, like a boring head, similar. A type of a boring head that you can adjust the end to just whatever kind of blade that you put into it. You know, you can go down in there because you're not literally boring out everything. So I'm not taking that hole and making it bigger. That hole's got to stay there with a little ramp around it. So I got to cut inside of there. So why not just take a 1/4 inch milling bit, stick in there, stick it in a rotary table, and just go around in circles, and then you can adjust it for thickness both directions. And just spin it around, do it, flip it over, do it the other way. You know, and then however far down you got down feed on it determines how thickness of the web is that you leave in the middle. I did the same basic thing only on a lathe with these because I don't have a rotary table. So I had to do this and use a trapioning tool, which is really, it's this. I took a boring bar, which is curved on the end, and used the opposite end, and I ground in there a little trapioning tool. I don't know if you can see that. Get it up here in the white. Sort of fat on the end that tapers back towards the back, and then on the bottom sides is cut away.
Yeah, they can see it.
So that when you come around here, more so on this outside, when you come around here, you can't let the bottom of this hit your metal here, or it'll stop your cutting blade part of it. But as you come to do the inside of it, you don't have as much of a problem, so it can be a little straighter, so you can save a little. But these are so fragile, you know, making them this small. And it worked. I mean, I did both of these. It worked fine. But what I need to do is make one of these out of a thicker piece of steel. Here's a piece of 1/4 inch.
Looks like you could almost make it a 1/2 inch.
Here's a thread. Well, I gotta work within the confines of my mill. So I've got these old cutting bits in here. Here's a piece of steel down the right side. Yeah. I can take a piece of this
3/8.
3/8 inch square, roughly 3/8, I guess. Not quite 3/8.
Bigger than 5/16.
That's what it is, 5/16. Right on the money. But anyway, I can take this and cut this up, and I can make this a little bit more heavy duty. But you got to cut way back into here because you got to make that tool however far deep in there you want to go. So I make it a little bit deeper so I got some wiggle room. And then and the next one I make, see, I made this one that has square ends on it. And it comes up here and it cuts a good inside corner, but I really don't want a sharp edge in there. I want a radiused edge.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a new one with a rounded end on it, so that when I go inside, it ends up rounded, and I go outside, it ends up rounded. But it's just a lot of grinding. You know, this is tungsten. I think this is hard steel, or 98 M2. This is tool steel.
You need an industrial grinder.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to do on that bench grinder. It vibrates and junk, and you almost need like a diamond bit.
We got a great big 1940s grinder at work. It's got wheels on it that are that wide. It stands on a pedestal. The motor's about you big around and runs on 440.
Yeah.
You can't dog that baby. There ain't no, you can grind it, put a piece of steel in there. You can't
Yeah,
stop.
you can't hardly do it on that. I tried grinding them on that thing, and the wheels aren't good, and the grinder don't have any power. So it's sort of a time-consuming process, and you don't want to heat it up. And some kind of a wet grinder would be the best thing. You know.
Real machine grinder for tools.
Yeah, and then you could face off the wheels and make them nice and square and everything. And
we got a tool at work called the Buffalo. And this thing will punch holes through 1/4-inch steel. It'll cut 1/4-inch angle iron. It'll cut 1/4-inch plate.
Wow.
It does all kind of stuff. And when you pull the handle down, it goes pow, and it jumps off the big machine. It jumps off the ground.
A big hydraulic press of some type.
No, it's got flywheel in it.
Oh, okay.
It's an old dog, from the 30s. It's got a big old gear. The gear on it is that wide, and probably that big around, and it's got a flywheel in it. When it starts, when you shut it off, it runs for 5 minutes.
Oh, so yeah, it's using that inertia of the flywheel.
Right.
And it just comes down and stamps it out of there.
Bam!
There's no building up to the thing like a hydraulic press, but that's what I'll make that out of.
We got some square hole punches there. You wouldn't think that it would punch a square hole, but it certainly will. Well, it freaks me out whenever I got to change the die on it,
Oh yeah.
Or I have to adjust the die and it's running. I usually just shut it off.
Shut it off, yeah.
Wait, because you don't know. It could just activate by itself.
Cycle, yeah, you walk around like that. Say, wow, that was quick and easy.
Our shear will cut 3/16 10-foot long.
See, you guys got all that old equipment in there.
Yeah, the brake's 10-foot long and it'll bend 1/4-inch.
All that new equipment's got pullbacks, and you got to put on your little wrist things, and
you got to hold 2 buttons like that.
Yeah, you got to hold 2 buttons, and it'll yank you back if you try to reach in there.
Yeah. The machines we got at work are anti-Qs. Well, our drill press is a belt-driven drill press. The belt on is about.
Well, they still got all the pulleys in the roof down there, don't they? From when everything was belt-driven. Did they take those out?
Yeah.
They were in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Big leather belts that run from the roof down.
Yeah, had a hit and miss out there. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Things run on nothing. You can pour anything into them. You can pour straight crude oil in them and they'll still run. But yeah, this is sort of what I'm flailing around with. I say flailing. I'm really flailing around.
Our heater in that shop, I'm surprised the fire marshal hasn't shut him down. That was a blacksmith shop in the 1800s.
Yeah.
They got a chimney that had a fireplace in it. Well, they just blocked the fireplace off with a 1/4-inch piece of steel. So then they built out 3 55-gallon drums on top of each other, and the heat, it's like a heat exchanger goes up, and then over like that, and then like that, and then it goes out, and they went into the chimney. And then it's got a great big firebox out there, and we burn up all our pallets. And we went through 3 dump beds so far this winter of pallet, cut up.
Well, think about it, though. You get radiant heat off 3 55-gallon barrels instead of just 1.
Right.
Or 2. I've seen them doubled up like that for, garages and stuff like that.
But I'm thinking, why hasn't the fire marshal said something about this?
It's a historical building.
And then between the walls in the back, we got cans of paint.
We're not giving up too much. It's a historical building, it's registered and everything. That place has been there forever, since
1889, I think, 1885.
There's a picture of it in the shop in there.
Oh yeah, I parked where the old building was, right on top of the slab. They knocked that one down and built the one we're in now, and then they built the one next to it, I don't know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Well, the building across the street is an old building too.
That's a firehouse.
Yeah, that's part of the old. It was the firehouse.
Right.
At one time.
Right. They own that now too.
I think originally, at one time, they owned all that shit and they sold it off to the bank and.
Right next to it was a cabinet shop that had a big fire, and Jerry was there. The firemen were standing on top of the roof, putting water on the building next door.
Keep it from burning down. Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. See, my stuff's so small, you know. I try to make this junk. I got to make everything out of aluminum or brass or something because I can't hardly turn steel or cut steel.
So why would you want a steel wheel anyway?
Well, like the arbor would last longer if I would cut that out of steel and turn it down. You know, just parts and pieces would just last longer. But I don't plan on being production wise, you know, anything like that. But it's amazing when you turn away all that metal out of there, how many chips you get. I had a whole trash can full of chips from these. Whole trash can, I mean, stuffed down in there.
They're arid. It's compacted right there.
Yeah, yeah. But see, these were a half-inch thick. And I put them on the mill and I milled them to the thickness a little bit, just a thousandths heavy, what these are thickness wise. And then milled two of them, and then I bored and reamed that center hole. That's your, you know, the axle hole for bushings. Which you got to make the bushings too, because you can't buy the bushings. So, let's see if this one fits.
Whole lot of work for a set of $10 wheels.
They're $25 if you can get them. Now you can get them, but a little piece of this is nylon, which doesn't turn worth a crap. Use some Delrin or something like that for these bushings that just sort of push in there, drill an axle hole in them. But those are a pain in the butt to make. You gotta have really, really sharp tools to cut this plastic.
Well, even if they're $25, would you work 2 days for $25?
Well, I mean, once I spent 3 days making a set of wheels. But in the process, I made a cone, I made an arbor. I had to design all this stuff to make these wheels with what I had and make those fixtures before I could make that. You know, now I've done, you know, and I had to design and figure out this cutting bit and all that stuff. So once you get all that together, it goes a little quicker. I mean, it'd be real nice if I had a real nice power hacksaw or something that I could set that brown tube up, and that'd make it a lot nicer. And then I cut nice slices off of it. You know, now this is for 2-inch diameter wheels. This is for an inch and a half. That's what these are, 1.5 inches. And slice off, you know, your little chunks nice and straight and flat. And I can't do it with this. I mean, everything's all over the place. So then you got to turn around. If you do that, then you got to turn around and get that thing in there square in the chuck.
Why? Put it in your mill, level it flat, and then drill a hole in it. And
you have to register it flat to begin with. And if you don't have a flat side on either side, you can't just set it in there.
you register it off the sides.
See, I can register it easier in a drill press like this with a chuck coming down on this, and then cut the end of it off, which will be 90 degrees to this surface.
Right. And
Once I got one done and cut it off, and then I can put it in there. But then I'm trying to clamp something round in a square flat machine because I don't have a radial chuck on there or whatever. So it's easier just to flip that around and stick it in the chuck of that and then face it off. But if you can get that cut real good to begin with, it takes a little bit of the setup out of it. Just slicing little donuts off there, however. So everything's got to go in an order. You know, you got to get This surface is rough.
Here's how you do
It's
it.
just their casting.
Here's how you do it. You drill a hole in that thing first, all the way through. Put a bolt in there, and get that bolt square on your mill, perpendicular.
Yeah, you could do that, but that only gets you so close.
Yeah, but the first one you'd have to cut on the lathe, then you drill a hole all the way through that thing, and then make your fixture standing straight up down the lathe to index that thing so it's square. Cut one side flat, then flip it over. And
Then I gotta have a fixture that clamp that in. Should be 2 pieces of metal with a half moon cut out of each side of it so that it come down on here in my vise around it. I wouldn't put flat spots on it, clamp it down on that. There's a lot, there's a lot of thinking that you gotta do. I saw a guy make one of these tools online. That's how he knew how to do this. Who was that? Wasn't
Joe Pye?
Joe Pye was tray panning. He was making wheels for a little cannon that he made, and he made the wheels out of solid brass, and then everybody said they need wood inside of it. So then he had to make him a little tray panning tool to go in there and cut that brass out of there so he could insert a piece of wood in it. Basically, it's the same thing I'm doing here, except I'm not putting wood in there.
Yeah, but the difference is Joe Pye's got $1 million machines.
Yeah, his machines are accurate as all get out. He's got all the collet chucks on his lathes and all that stuff, and he's got the DROs and all that stuff, and he can be super accurate. Well,
When you're making tiny screws that are like that, you're not going to do it on that.
no, I can't cut the threads on that thing, and there's no way.
Not for a screw that big.
Yeah, he cut 256 screw threads the other day on a piece.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, there's no way I can do that. I'm like trying to work with that Craftsman drill press on its side. And adapt and win. I used to make ton mufflers with just a drill press.
Oh yeah, not hard.
And they came out real nice, but it took a lot of filing and grinding.
They used to sell those stacks. They'd come out about that long,
Yeah.
just saw it off and drill holes.
Well, they don't fit every engine.
No.
So when they don't fit, you got a smaller exhaust opening than the cutout on one, and then you're forced, you have to make your own. So it's just drill a bunch of holes and start grinding it out in there. Mother is in
Necessity is the mother of invention.
necessity is the mother of invention. So it's these actually did come out really nice.
Yeah.
I was pretty tickled that I got 2 of them that were alike. They were the same. I'll be damned. I got 2 of them alike, but it took a lot of time.
The only thing that would make them any better is if you could drill the holes in them.
Well, I do have to drill the holes in them, but when I start off like this,
You're gonna put all the holes all the way around them.
no, I don't know that I'm even going to do that.
That's what I'm talking about. They look like a moon wheel now, or a center
Well,
line.
you got to have an indexing head and a rotary table with an indexing head would be the ideal way to get. You could run around through there and make like a Krager looking wheel with
Just
round holes, or you could even do that.
Put a center line decal on it, center line wheels.
But these I wanted to make them sort of look like a baby moon on there, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Then I got to looking at it, like, man, that's going to weigh an awful lot. And I'm weighing this blank now, taking for granted the blank was rounded to size and had the hole in the middle. And I'm going, there's no way I could make them like that. Now, you could take these and take an aluminum pop can
I can do it to it.
and glue a little moon on each
Hubcap.
side of a hubcap like thing in there with some silicone or something, and that would work. But it's still gonna add that much more weight. These weigh an ounce for two of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Them other wheels are just a little lighter.
You
Not
know,
those.
I mean, whatever those cutouts in there are, weight-wise. I tried to keep the web inside of here the same thickness as this web. And I started off with that dimension. And then, you know, basically blacked this out and marked it just to see where I was at. And, you know, and then come through here, you know, figured, well, I got a web that's X thickness in the middle. And then I got a cut, let's say, I think it was 35 thousandths off each side.
You guys
That
sleeping
left-
over there?
That left my web the right thickness then. And I had to figure out how thick do I want this bearing surface here for this. And then you gotta worry about this, because when you start cutting out this way on these indentations in there, you gotta leave the recess for the tire. Yeah, so if you're cutting in this way, for the recess of the tire, how far, and then that thickness,
Just be thankful we got two of the same.
that thickness that's inside of here, you know, has gotta be enough. And then the wall thickness on these things there's a lot involved in making one of these. Now, once you make one, you got a CNC machine. You just load a chunk of this stuff in there and it goes zzz, 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 zzz. And then you gotta source this, you gotta go find it, get it, pay for it. I get this at the scrap yard. We pay by the pound down there. If I bought
About
this,
$1. How much aluminum?
this
pound?
piece was about originally 2 foot long, maybe. It was like $35.
Wow.
But if you paid for this at Metal Superstore or a major supply house instead of scrapyard, it'd be $165. It's expensive. This piece right here,
Danny says, "Good morning, John. Sparky, what's
Morning.
for lunch?"
this chunk right here, aluminum, it was about that long, a foot longer than this, about 4 foot long. It was $35 at the scrapyard. That same piece of metal would be $200 and some dollars. And this is this isn't real cheap. This is 6061 T6511, which is a hardened.
Yeah, 6061.
It's good aluminum. It's not that junk you get at Home Depot.
Danny, what are you bringing us? You cook up some of them Bronto steaks again?
You too, Danny. You got a little lathe at home. You too could make a set of wheels like this.
Gotta get his airplane finished first. Get out in the garage, start sanding.
But, you know, what it boils down to is E equals effort. You know, how much do you want to put into it?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to make these for a long time. And then you brought it back up to me the other day when you come over and said, why don't we just make some wheels? Wouldn't that look custom use, some little mini Kragers or whatever on there?
You know, we could cast those.
Oh, yeah, we probably could.
We got.
Dan. Oh, you dog, you. That looks delicious.
Yeah, Bronto steak.
Yeah, it looks good. Potatoes and cooked onions and a little bit of
We'll have Taco Bell.
gravy in there. Looks absolutely delicious. I've been grilling out hamburgers as often as I can. I got barred about burning out on hamburgers. Every time we have 'em, I don't fry a hamburger in the house. I'll cook it on the grill every single time, and it's much better than, McDonald's or any of them places, because you get ground chuck instead of just hamburger, and
Ground dog turd.
it, it's costly. You price ground chuck out there, $25
A pound?
for like a 2-pound package. Maybe it's 3 pounds. That's like $25. It's expensive, but we get 10 or 12 hamburgers out of that. So if you break it down, then it's not so bad. But
You made up your mind yet, muffler?
no, I haven't made up my mind. That motor ran so well on that pipe and that setup that I'm hesitant to
70 ounces.
change it. Well, the pipe weighs the same as the muffler.
Okay.
So, overall weight's not going to be any different. It's just the distribution of the weight. This airplane's not as long. My other airplane had 2 inches on this one, or at least 1.5 inches in length. It had it at like 17.5 to 18 inches hinge line to hinge line. This is 16 inches or 16.25 hinge to hinge.
And I fixed that one. Let's see if we fixed the other one that I saw. I hate those hard lines where you.
Yeah, I know. I haven't even really worked on that. I was just trying to get it flat a little bit and see how much more filler I was going to put on it. I don't think it needs any more filler. I just think it needs more sanding. I got a low spot on this side
Well, you gotta put
that I think I
filler
can
in
sand
here after you get
down.
it, after you get it covered.
Yeah. So get it feathered out to where there's no hard edges
You
on
gotta
it and
put
get
more
the
filler
metal.
on this side, right there.
Well, if you look at it, it's
You
got
can feel
one
it.
low spot on it.
No, I can feel it. The whole thing is low. Take a trowel.
That's a flat edge.
I know, but in order for it to blend perfect, you gotta put some more putty in there. It's low.
You look at it, and you can tell by sanding it flat. That spot right there, and that spot right there is low,
I know.
and everything else is. See, you're going from a fat body down into a piece of 3/32 inch wood. This is a half here, and you're trying to taper it into 3/32.
It needs quite a bit of putty in there.
Oh, I'm not gonna put it in there.
Why not?
I'm just gonna let it transition. Come back in here and transition to the thinner thing. I don't want to build it out flush or where it's a flat. Just let it come in here and then transition back.
Looks like them flaps are removable. How you gonna secure that? You
No
guys
problem.
zoom in here. Look.
No problem. It might not even be like that with one continuous pin when I'm done. It might just have a pin at every hinge, because then I can cut most of that music wire out of it.
Yeah, but it don't weigh shit. It's probably not even measurable.
Everything weighs something.
Well, did you weigh a carbon rod as opposed to this? What's the difference? 2 grain?
I can't weigh it.
Yeah, see,
The scale doesn't go down that low.
right. It's not worth it.
At least not my scale doesn't go down that low, but it's, I don't know. It probably isn't worth it in the long run. Just use the piece in there. And if you ever did want to take them out of there, depending on how I do this,
Well, them guys caught, they looked at, I was online, they looked at the flat, and I forgot that I needed to do that. How I did them is I pulled it out like so, probably like that much, and I bent it into a U, and then I forced it in there to make, so it was buried in the wood and puttied over it. So if I ever got to get it out, all I got to do is sand it right there and pull the
Yeah,
pin
it's
up.
a little fix instead of cutting out these hinges in all 4 locations. That's an easy fix. I thought about doing this. Cutting a groove right in the center of this in here about yay far. And then cutting a groove this way. So I can come here and I can bend that up into the groove and flip it down. And that'd keep it from coming out.
Yeah, but then you got a piece of wire hanging up that you can
No, you
catch
just
it on.
cut it off flat. It'd be a pain to get in there, but you deflect your flap and get in there, you bow that out and pull it out. And
Trust me, if this little piece is sticking up above the wood, any amount, you're going to catch it on your clothes or
oh yeah,
something.
yeah. Well, it'd have to be flush with it would be flush on the bottom.
Okay.
I don't know if the wood's hard enough to do that with. I'd have to put an inlay in there, some kind of harder wood or whatever because I don't think super glue and all that stuff.
How much
would
you
work.
pay for them pinholes? I never
I
get
don't
them.
have any dope on it.
I know.
I mean, but I don't know why I get pinholes in it. Maybe I'm using my dope thinner than you are or something.
First coat goes on full strength.
Well, thin 50-50.
Oh, full strength.
No, I had never put it on that. I start off at 50-50 and keep adding thinner from there. And that starts off 50-50 from the base all the way on out to this. This has got 3 base coats on the silk span and then 2 coats of dope, 1 brush, 1 sprayed on the top of the silk span right now. But I need at least 2 more coats
Yeah, at least.
on there at least to start getting the fill.
Did you see where Frank's Model Aviation said, well, I put, he's following my polish span method. Did a nice job. I put the polish span on, I put 2 coats of dope on it, go to color.
No, that won't even begin to seal it up. Poly span sucks the dope up. 2 coats would just be getting the poly span sort of sucked up full.
Well, I got enough to make nothing. I got to get another gallon of that if I'm going to make anything.
Yeah, you only got about 1/4 of a can in there.
Yeah, there ain't shit in
Maybe
there.
a little bit more than 1/4 of a can. But this is the way to go. If I could just cut this off nice and smooth, that's where a nice
Chops off.
fall type bandsaw. I'm gonna make a frame for this and make it into one of those.
It still won't cut straight. Ours at work doesn't cut straight.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty hard.
It walks.
But if I can get it straighter than hand feeding it, hand feeding is for the birds because you really can't get much of anything out of them. I tried both ways. Doing it like this just takes forever by hand this way, or putting this in a vise and holding that saw in my hand and cutting down through it, and that's even worse yet. And you're all over the doggone place with it. Let alone trying to cut something like that 2.5 inch tube or 3 inch tube, whatever that stuff is. Not tube, it's a rod.
2.5.
2 1/4. But they had that piece laying over there, and I said, how much is that? I don't know. He says, I don't know if he's going to charge you, what was it, $1.75 a pound or $3 a pound? Because it depends on the grade of aluminum. What kind of mood the guy's in. Well, I lucked out, and the guy I got only charged me the cheap price for it. think that he looked at the kind of aluminum that it was. So it's the same stuff, 6061 T6511. See, all these numbers mean something.
Oh yeah, I know. 6061, that's the good stuff.
So it turns really nice. I mean, leaves a halfway decent finish on stuff. See there, I turned that once and took a piece of 320 sandpaper to it, and that's the finish.
Yeah.
But it pays to have really sharp tools when you're using your lathes and your mills and stuff like
Get
that.
a cheap chop saw with a good metal blade on it, and it'll cut that aluminum bar like white oak.
Yeah.
Danny.
Oh yeah. I've cut many stuff like that at work. That's what we used, was just a chop saw and a nice carbide blade. Gotta watch for that piece go flying out of there when you get through the end of it. We used to have to take the storefront, aluminum storefront. We had to miter an end off of it, and it didn't miter all the way through, 100% through. You left it like 1.5 inches of metal on there, and you just mitered this tip off of it, and that was so you could get this glass stop off of it. And man, the guys that go running, they said, "You're making frames back there today?" "Yeah, I'm making frames." "Well, I'm not working in this building with you, because we had this big on the 18-inch or 20-inch radial arm saw." And you take that, you run that saw through there and take that piece and fling it around, and go ping, 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 ping. There was like little ninja throwing stars flying around out of the saw. And take your buy them big tubes of wax and stick it into that blade and wax that blade all up and cut all day long. You're right though, Danny. A chop saw will cut that like right now and cut it pretty damn good too. And I have a chop saw out there, but I don't. It's for my woodworking. I don't want to get it all gummed up with wax and everything else. So meanwhile, I'll just go and hack a piece off there and then turn it down, and then I can part it off on the lathe. You know, I get a small piece that I can work with in my lathe, about 4 or 5 inches long, and put a center in one end of it, and put it in the chuck in the other, put it in the tailstock, and then just part off whatever I need, and I get pretty accurate. I still got to face it down, but it's much easier like that. It's all sort of a pain in the butt.
A little manicure on the disc sander.
Doing your fingernails?
Yeah.
Hell, there's a bandsaw over there. Set them up on the bandsaw.
It's hot quick if you get it too close.
It'll take a skin off real quick too. Don't get in the groove, in the joint. There was a guy at the hobby shop. We were racing RC cars. He's back in the back, had a lathe out there, and he had a Dremel tool and stuff hooked up on the lathe. It was a high-powered Dremel tool, big one. It had a grinding bit in it.
Porting tool.
And yeah, probably some kind of porting tool or a machine tool maker's grinder or something.
I got one.
And he was sitting back there, he's truing these tires up, these foam tires. This foam sort of like this stuff in these wheels. Had them mounted on the rims, and you trim them down to whatever size you want. He's truing up a bunch of tires. I said, "What are you doing, Bill?" And he He says, "Oh, just trim up these tires." And I says, "Oh, that sounds cool." And I knew how to operate lathes and stuff, but he felt obliged to sort of show me what he was doing. And he says, "Whatever you do, don't stick your finger right here." And he went sitting and stuck his finger right in there, and it went right in through there and all the way out the other time. Just mangled the whole end of his finger up. I'm like, "Billy, yeah, that was a good demonstration there of exactly what not to do." We didn't have cameras back then. At least not cell phones and stuff. That would have been all over the internet, all safety videos of what not to do. But all these little things, they all take time to make. You know, you gotta.
How to do a manicure with a scalpel, side cutters, and a 10-inch disc sander. Turned out good.
There was a guy on there, he was making these clamps and he was making offset bolts. So he'd take an Allen head bolt and he would chuck it up in a four-jaw chuck and he'd chuck it up off center. So when he returned the head on it, it turned a cam load onto the head. So that when he put that in his little clamp, quarter turn and it was tight. Really neat stuff. But the amount of time this guy took, I mean, these are fixtures just to hold apart. He's got all the high-powered machines and liquid coolant and all that stuff that he can run down through there and he can take steel and just I'm cutting everything dry, you know. A little squirt of WD-40 or a drop of oil or something.
And Joe Pye's got CNC stuff. I don't think he does his little miniatures on CNC though. I think
They're all manual. Well, they're manual, but they've got a DRO, which that helps tremendously.
I don't think Joe Pye's machinist. I think he's a tool and die.
He used to be a watchmaker. We got some of this training doing that. And he's used to working on little stuff. He's got a machine shop.
That stuff he makes is cool.
Yeah, so those are kits.
Right. He buys a kit and machines it.
And then you gotta finish the kit off as just a rough casting, sort of like this, rough casting. Can you see that wheel in there?
Yeah, I see it.
Right there's one of them, right there. How bad do you want it? Here's the problem. Gotta find this foam. It's got a durometer of 9. I found out the durometer of it. I found a guy that had a meter. I could check the durometer rating. And if you can buy this by the sheet or the tube, then you can just make a little die and cut donuts out of it.
3/8 foam, durometer rating of 9.
Here's what I found.
Depends on what kind of foam. You know, there's 1,000 different kinds of foam. It's more than 3/8.
Closed cell, half-inch thick, durometer rating of 9, foam.
Here's what I found.
Foam round stock, McMaster car.
They don't have check them.
Foam roll, water resistant closed cell. Carlisle roof foam, no, that would be it. Let's try this.
And some of them don't go by durometer rating. They go by just the weight. Like styrofoam, 4 pound, half pound,
$61.53.
And then you order it, and you pay $50, you order this stuff, and it comes in and it's not the right stuff.
Yeah, you're screwed.
You know, you almost have to have a place to go and physically see it, because I don't know enough about it to. I've been to every shop in Dayton, and I had a guy that actually gave me some foam. He gave me some foam, but it's too soft. Not by much, but it's enough that if you put them, if you make wheels out of it, you put it on there, it's just gonna go straight down to the.
Made out of wood.
Use balsa wood wheels years ago. Use pine wheels.
Yeah, fast wood.
Yeah, it must be a hard one.
But don't, you can't hard land.
Don't take much, and they degenerate real fast. These wheels right here are the same foam as those.
Yeah,
And they started off,
I know one will get a different shape on it.
and you see how they're ground off.
You
in
can't
an
see the
angle.
outboard. The outboard wheel always wears smaller, and it has a
You
weird.
got that wingtip weight hanging down on
Yeah.
it and stuff, and you should rotate them and switch them in and out. That actually for them wheel pants came out really nice on these. I'll never do what they did. I need some more of these wheel pants. You got the molds.
Yeah. All it
Neat.
takes is time.
I need a fuel tank.
It's got the molds for that too. All it takes is time.
I would take the time if I could sit down and make 10 of them. That to last for a while.
You'd have to have 10 molds.
One's too hard. You know, it takes the same amount of time to make one as it does to make 10 if you got the molds.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it takes a week to make one.
right.
That's the problem with only having one mold. And I can't justify buying enough molding material and all that stuff to make 10 molds. You know, and everybody says, why don't you produce these things? Well, you gotta look at all that upfront money that you gotta.
Danny says, I think we need a 4x8 sheet of foam. Yes, that's correct. And then he says, could you imagine if you had the wrong foam after a few minutes on the hard tarmac, they went flat, takeoff, 10 points.
Exactly. Boom, 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 boom. Well, these things are soft enough in themselves that this probably diameter on this isn't enough. Because I put all my airplanes on blocks to hold the wheels off the ground, so they're just sitting there under its own weight. They won't go flat, and they will out on the tarmac if you're not careful. You
They'll
know,
go flat hanging on the wall.
yeah, just the weight of it pendulum down. Now these are heavier wheel. They're a little wider, but they got a hard rubber insert in the center. It's about
1/8 inch.
I want to say an eighth. I can't see it on these right now. It's probably about an eighth.
3/16.
It's probably it's all metric. You know, so I'm not measuring right. See, 1.1
A little less than an
or
8.
.15.
3/32.
Yeah, 3/32 about. So that's a hard rubber, you know. That's
Those are Tetra copies.
sort of like this. This is some sheet rubber, which is about 1/16 of an inch thick. Yeah, right at about 1/16. That is laminated in between two pieces of 9 durometer foam or 10 durometer. The harder the foam, I mean, it's a closed cell
Foam
foam.
for RC car wheels.
I
Yeah,
found this on the web.
they're not making foam RC car wheels anymore. They're all went to rubber. So what you buy is new old stock if you can find it.
No, didn't have it on that.
It's obvious that they make it because here it is live. It's
Probably
on
come-
these wheels.
China.
Yeah. Now it's a foam pad that they use to wrap. GM uses it to wrap bumpers in while they're being shipped around.
Well, how about that foam that I use for a kneeling pad? I got some in the car. That would probably work. You'd have to slice it. It's this thick, you know.
Well, I got stuff out there that's about a 1/2 inch thick. Let me see if I can find a piece of it. I thought I had a piece down here. Foam insulation for pipe will not work.
You know those kneeling pads that they sell?
Yeah.
What that foam is?
Believe it, this is not a 9 diameter. It's a softer diameter.
I don't think so. By God, I think we found it. Kneeling pads.
Here's what I found.
High density foam. There we go. Right there. Come on. Kneeling pads.
I found this on the web.
No, that ain't it.
No, this is
Might work, but you'd have to have
3/8 of an inch thick. And it's about, feel that, it's about the same diameter.
It might work, yeah.
And it comes in black. Doesn't have to be this white
Right.
stuff, but
Right here it is. Right. $5.
you can't find this stuff.
Lowe's.
I'm telling you, it's a little softer. And some of that stuff got coating on it.
This is it says rubber. There's a blue one. Cobalt. That's it. That's what you need. Right there. 17 by 11 rubber kneeling pad. Right there. That's the foam right there.
Go get me one. Yeah, it's similar. Doesn't say anything about it, does it?
No, but it just dawned on me, that's what that rubber is.
Well, I know. I looked at kneeling pads a long time ago.
That's it.
It's softer.
This rubber here, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's 1.5 inches thick and it's softer. It's that durometer rating of that foam that means everything. Where is that?
Well, you know, if you could cut those out of the kneeling pads, and let's say that they wore out in 15 flights, well, you got 25 sets of them. You just throw them away and put another one on it. There you go.
This is a kneeling pad foam, basically. It's too soft. It doesn't have that 9 durometer. Now I could take this is sticky back. You know, I could, even if I stuck 2 of these back to back with that glued center, it's still not hard enough. Too soft. This is the stuff that guy gave me when I was running around town. I went everywhere. I was looking at off the wall place, plumbing supply houses, stuff like that.
That is not as hard as the kneeling pads that I'm thinking of. When I go to Lowe's, I'll look.
Well, I'm not ready to waste a bunch of money running around trying to find something that I know is, in the end, is going to be too soft. The guy gave this stuff to me, so I don't have to pay nothing for it. I got 2 pieces like this big. But you can look at it. You can look at the porosity of it,
Right.
and see that it's nowhere near as dense. This is almost pushing a rubber.
Right.
Rather than a foam, but it's still foam.
How about if we call Smooth On and ask them if they got a pourable foam rubber and we cast them?
That would probably, you could do that, yeah, we could cast them. I think these are cut out of a sheet because they've got too nice of a finish on both sides of them. You know, like this is. A real nice finish on it. And then they just cookie cut them out of, you know, what, a 3/8 inch sheet or some metric size probably that's a little heavier.
10 millimeters.
I have to get a pair out that aren't mounted because when you mount them, it swells them up. I hate to even take them out. But I was taking these wheels around, and so I actually had the wheels to show these people. What are they? And you can't tell these people that you're making wheels or you're making tires, because then they just think tires and they think rubber and all this other stuff. I said, no, all I'm looking for is foam that's this thick and that's this diameter.
Time and money for R&D is a killer. Yeah.
If you tell them that they're for wheels, then they go off on a tangent looking for wheels and thinking RC cars. Well, my first thought was RC cars. Well, they're making everything out of rubber now. Hollow rubber, you know, for RC cars. They used to use these foam wheels. And you could buy blanks. And you buy a set of rears, they're that wide. You get 3, maybe 4 of these out of a set of wheels, and they would be about that big around. And then you turn them, you know, down in OD, but you could get all sorts of different diameters of rubber, depending on the track you were at. And they quit running these tires. They're running rubber tires now. Now, you probably find some new old stock somewhere. I'm not saying that you can't, but then you still got to go in there and you got to take a set of these in there or have some kind of way of checking the diameter of them, because some of those are super soft. Some of them are like this foam. I can remember days racing those cars. My front tires sometimes were that thick foam, or they might put 2 or 3 different diameters of foam on a rear set of tires or front set, different on the inside of the wheel than the outside of the wheel, and glue them together for a specific track. We did a lot of that stuff back in those days, but you could get pre-cut donuts like these, unmounted, You don't want to mount it on rims because then they'll have already been glued onto something. And the first question they ask is, "What are you using it for?"
Don't worry about it.
It says, I just need some rubber that's this thick and that, black or gray. I wish I would have ordered a whole bunch of these things up, except they were going out of business back then. Max Products, MPI. Can't get them anymore. Quality RC Accessories. This is probably the same place they got them tires for cars. See, I got another set, some more. These are smaller.
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
But they're the heavier ones.
Right.
I mean,
Morning, Steve.
if I could find that foam, I'll make a die. And that's exactly what I was gonna do. I wasn't gonna make rims. I was just gonna make a die to cut that foam with. And that's why I got that big piece of aluminum, because I use it on other projects. But I mean, you sort of buy that stuff, whatever they got out there, because they charge you like $8 to cut for one cut.
Gonna make money somehow.
So rather than charging an extra $8, you just buy the whole stick, get it for damn near the same price. But all this stuff takes time, I couldn't believe how long it took me to make those. Well, what takes so long is all the slop that you got to contend with, because you can't just, take your thumb screw on your lathe or whatever and just screw it in so much and say, okay, that's right, and go ahead and cut it, because inevitably it'll be wrong. And so you're constantly turn that little teeny bit, make your cut, check it, remeasure. It's sort of a pain in the butt. But like I said, it can be done. Obviously, it can be done. But I can change that cut on that thing if I just put my finger up against it. I mean, there's no rigidity to anything. If I didn't like tinkering around, I wouldn't even do it, but I sort of like tinkering around with my tools here a little bit.
Did you try A Main Hobbies?
I haven't called them yet. They might have it. Probably some new old stock stuff. But yeah, that was one of the places I wanted to get a hold of. And when I thought about A Main, it was on a Sunday. And I didn't think they were going to be open, so I didn't bother even try to call them. If I can't get RC car wheels and I don't know exactly the compound on the car wheels, then it could be a moot point. I might pay $20 for 2 things of rubber and still not be the right softness, or
Call
ground
China.
rating.
Don't ya.
I would call McMaster Car, but when you start looking through that foam rubber on there, some of it goes by weight, some of it goes by durometer reading, it's all over the place. Unless I can have this crap in my grimy little pulse and sit here and look at it, I know somebody that's got a durometer and they can check the compressibility. You're out of there because you just about have to be somewhere and look at it. And it might be an open cell foam and they're telling you it's closed cell. This is definitely a closed cell foam. It's hard. I spent a long time, a lot of hours searching.
Well, I joined Harbor Freight's club, Inside Track Club.
You don't get any discounts worth of crap.
You sure?
Because I was an Inside Track Club member.
It was only $29.
Yeah, I know. I said the same thing.
I didn't have a Harbor Freight credit card till I went there that one day with you.
I got that because I got a 20% off or 30% off of something if I signed up for the credit card.
Right.
And I didn't use it anymore.
I've used it twice.
Because their interest rate sucks.
And it paid it off 100%.
You can get a little bit better deal sometimes on the Inside Track Club on certain items, but it's all high dollar items for the most part. Yeah, I tried some of that stuff. Call me a skeptic, or yeah, I'm a skeptic. Look at Harbor Freight's ads. Big liquidation sale.
Same shit.
Parking lot sale. The exact same price it's been for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe higher now that inflation has kicked in. And
I'd like to have this Jackery 2000 peak output inverter.
Power inverter.
$859.
$859.
Yeah, and that's
How
probably
many watts?
2,000.
You should be able to get
Jackery's a good name
3,500.
compared to Goal Zero at $14.99. Portable power station $859.
What kind of watts is the kick in on it? What do they call that?
Output is 880 watt portable power station, provides 880 watts of power with 1,000 watt continuous and 2,000 watts peak output to handle most of the demanding portable power needs. This portable outdoor power station is equipped with a lithium-ion battery which operates without gas, toxic fumes, noise, or vibration. The smart circuit battery management prevents overload current and voltage over temperature faults.
So what power is it?
I told you, it's 2,000 watt peak output, 880 watt portable power station.
Oh, it's a battery.
It's an inverter, yeah.
It's a battery though.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a gas engine that
No.
powers. It's not like a generator.
No,
Well, all them generators are inverters.
right.
That means you gotta have electricity to be able to charge the thing up.
Or you can buy their solar cells, solar panels.
And take a week. I heard that guy, he bought him a Ford F-150 electric pickup truck, and he plugged it in on Sunday and said it won't be fully charged until Friday. Off just regular household current, because
Yeah.
he didn't have the
Supercharged.
supercharger or whatever. They're gonna take a week to charge it up to fully charge.
Yeah.
I said, so I got me an electric vehicle, and I need to run around town and run some errands. So I need to go around town. Now, how long do I have to charge my car to have enough battery to run around town? Because I know it takes me about 1/8 of a tank of gas, and I can do all this running on 1/8 of a tank or less gas. Well, do I need to charge my car for 3 days to do that little running around, or does it only take a day to charge? You know, then said it cost him like $160 or $150 to charge his car in the electric bill. You know, electric's going through the roof now.
Right.
So if your electric bill goes up that much, how much of a savings do you actually have? 'Cause
Zero.
Everybody thinks that, well, I can just go over here and charge my car. No, you got to pay to plug your car in there to charge it up.
Right.
That's not free. Somebody's paying for it. That reporter on TV did that stuff. Well, guy looks at her and says, well, you got your car charged plugged in right there. She says, yeah, I plugged into that plug. Well, who gives the electric to that plug? Well, that building right there. Well, who pays
The electric bill.
the electric bill for that building, you know? And where does that electric come from? It comes from that coal-powered power plant that's down the road.
That's spewing out the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide.
They got that stuff worked out. They don't pollute nothing.
Yeah.
Look at these waste stations, these burn trash. There's nothing but steam comes out of them things when all's said and done. So there's no pollution, and they're burning all the trash up in the city. You know, you tell me that it can't be done. All these gas engines, now they got these gas engines that are 4 cylinders making 500 horsepower that get 25, 28 miles per gallon.
You know, my little car engine will make 1,000 horsepower with some add-on mods.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It won't get 25 miles a gallon.
No, but it'll be on the brink of explosion at any given moment. Little hand grenade in there waiting to go off.
It probably puts out 100 and something now.
Yeah, but that's phenomenal. You know, think 327s, 350s put out 125 horsepower,
Right.
90 horsepower. Some of them. Hell, the Corvette engines only put up 220 horsepower, maybe. You know.
My little car will zip. I mean, if you push on the gas, it runs
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Because it's plastic.
Yeah, it's plastic. They're light. They don't, you know, don't have that big lead sled, big
Yeah.
Chevelle frame and steel body back behind it and stuff. You got it back. It's pretty funny.
And these idiots, occasional Cortex, she's a dunce, an absolute dunce. And it's all about power. It's not about saving energy.
They've got control of something, and that's all they care about.
Yeah, that's what the mask was, the shame muzzle, because they don't work.
Read the box. Go to OSHA, and look up paper respirators or N95 masks. And it'll tell you everything you need to know in there. It's nothing but a dust mask, a
Yeah.
spittle mask. That's it. It does not filter out any germs or vapors or anything like that, which is what the germs are in.
And that doesn't matter anyway, because if you're wearing a mask and you go out in public, let's say you go to eat, you know, and you go to McDonald's or whatever, and you touch the counter, and the guy before you had rubbing his face, and he touched the counter. So you pick it up, you say, well, I'm protected, I got the mask on. You come back, you take the mask off, eat the hamburger, and rub your nose with your hands. Guess what?
Yeah, you're infected. We did that way back when in school. They had that invisible powder that they put on one person's hands. And then they just went around through the day, and at the end of the day, they brought the black light out. And you could see everywhere they touched and everywhere the people that he touched, and stuff was everywhere. It sort of gross you out. Wow, it's not went that far, you know. That guy went in there and wiped his butt.
Well, when we vape, you know, like Dave at work, I go like that. He goes, "Don't blow that on me." I said, "Well, what do you think I'm doing when I'm talking? The only difference is you can see this. This is just water vapor."
Yeah. Oh, it's got some in it, the nicotine or whatever, probably still. But I saw some guy. He was pulling all the hair out of his nose because he got tired of just trimming the long one every now and then. So he put that wax crap up his nose and a couple Q-tips.
Ooh.
And let that thing, and he yanked all the nose hair. I said, "Didn't you know what that nose hair is in there for?" That's a filter. That's protection for heavy particles that keep you from breathing it in. It's just, the amount of stupidity in the world these days is phenomenal.
Well, they don't teach nothing.
No, they don't teach any of that crap to kids.
You notice I haven't been wearing my Navy hat, right? Sudshare lost my Navy hat, and I'm having a battle for 3 weeks now getting credit. You know, I want that hat back. Well, can you send me a picture? No, you can't find them. Yeah, I can find a Chinese one, but this was a USA made one, and you can't find them. And they credited me $15 for a $50 hat.
Yeah, you can't get them for $15. $15 for a bare ball cap there.
Yeah. So I told him that I gotta, you know, I said I'm gonna mention it on my YouTube channel and Twitter and Truth and all the places that I go. I'm gonna mention it. You guys are screwed.
Nobody knows about them. They're just a little independent place, aren't they?
Nationwide.
Really?
Yep. I'm supposed to call them Monday and to see what they're going to give me in credit. If they're going to give me some more credit. But see, credit, that don't replace my hat.
No, it doesn't replace it. So I want to tell them I want my half back.
Yeah. I knew that girl was a flake when she showed up at 11:30 at night to pick up my laundry.
Really?
Yeah. And it took me 3 days to get my laundry back. It was supposed to be done the next day. And I got back another woman's sock in my, you're not supposed to be mixing laundry.
No.
Plus, I'm missing, you know, I'm missing some long johns, and I don't care about the long johns. I can replace those. My hat.
But still, I mean, you're missing long johns. They're not cheap. It's $15 for a pair of pants.
Yeah, I know. I got to buy some today it's some of the running I got to do.
$15 for a shirt.
I don't have long john shirt on because I don't have them. They're gone.
Yeah. A lot of times you can't even find them anyway. You want matching pants and a shirt. You can only find one or the other, the shirt or the pants.
Most of my stuff is black pants and gray shirt.
Yeah, same here. Instead of black or both of them or whatever. Yeah, mine's identical.
White pants, gray shirt, white pants.
See, I hate pullover. I like a hooded sweatshirt at certain times, but I don't like pullover sweatshirts. I want a zipper up the front sweatshirt. Try to find one. They're not easy. You can find them. I'm not saying you can't. They're not easy to find. Or you can pull over sweatshirts. Well, I don't want to have to yank something over my head every time I want to get in and out of it. But here we are on the Saturday of John's bitch section about the world and all the idiosyncrasies. Somebody find me this phone.
My pet peeve is them making change the way they do. God, I hate that.
It is nowhere in Dayton. Yeah, the change is. That girl did that to me the other day. I was out there. What were we doing? We went somewhere and stopped somewhere to eat. Gave me my change back and all my paper in my hand first, and my change on the top of it, and the change
Let it fall on the floor.
slid out right out the door. I said, well, there went 75 cents of my change on the ground. Just shake your head and go on. You're not going to change them. So
You know why that's happened? computers. Because they don't have to count the change back and think. You know, it was $1.95, here's a nickel, 2, 3, 4,
And
5.
they count your change back to you first.
Right.
and
No, they
then
just
the
go,
bills.
it's 10.44 change, here's 5, 4, 3, and here's the change on top of it. And off it goes on the ground.
Yeah, $3.22 change, and they pull out 3 ones, and then. Yeah, you're right.
Computers did that. Computers are shit. They are I mean, they're nice to have, but this technology is going to kill us. And now they want to interface us with the internet, put a brain chip in you.
I was looking at watching a video the other day, and the video. Actually, it was last night. The video was about a plant over in Sweden, and they make drill bits, milling machine bits, all your tooling, you know, for high precision working. They make the little carbide little inserts and all that stuff, you know, they make all that junk. And they shot a picture of this whole plant. Like they were up in an office up high, looking down on this plant, shot a picture. There was one person in that whole big giant plant.
Running the machine.
They're all robots. Everything was done by a robot. Where's all those jobs are gone.
Right, and not coming back.
No, they're not coming back. So if you want a job in a modern factory, you better know computer programming, you know, or how to fix these robots and stuff like that. And then they're only going to have a little skeleton crew. They last forever, you know. They make these robots super.
See, they won't never be able to replace me. Never. The craftsman. How's a computer going to make one-off piece? You know, it doesn't.
No, or a house.
Right.
Build a house, or do your plumbing in your house, or
Right.
electrical work. They can't replace that.
Right, or mechanic even.
Yeah, you still have to have a certain amount of that, but everything's throwaway. So now they've gotten rid of you. You don't need a repairman anymore. You just throw it away. Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. You think about it, you know, all over laziness.
Everybody wants to make $1 million and not do anything.
It's laziness.
Yeah.
People are inherently lazy.
That really ticks me off for what I do and all the tools and money, time I got invested. They don't want to pay nothing.
Nah.
But you can be a do nothing, sit on your ass, and make $200,000 a year.
You're the one that does the work. That's out there breaking his back and using your money to buy your own tools, so you have nice tools to do that job with. It makes it easier on your back.
And they're raking in the dough for doing nothing.
And the guy sitting on his butt, you know, makes all the money. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I mean, what do you do, Sparky? You start your own business up, and then you turn into one of them people that sits on their ass and somebody else does all the work.
We're gonna go to lunch today at noon. It's a half hour from now.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cause like I say, I'm not gonna stay real long today.
I didn't want to sit here and make a whole pot of noise with that lathe and stuff running.
Oh, Danny.
You guessed it.
What you got going now?
Says, tell Sparky I'm feeling guilty about sitting in my chair watching. I'm gonna go out in the garage and do something.
Good idea.
Hey, Dad. We're not doing anything either. We're just sitting out here shooting
Put some tissue on that thing.
the crap. That's That's what I need to do with this, get it out in the paint stand in the garage.
How come you got so many phone lines running here?
Those aren't phone lines.
What are they?
Security, they're house security lines.
Oh,
Alarms, windows, doors.
yeah, I got a Simply Safe system, camera and all that bullshit.
It's got smoke detectors and all that in it. Vibration detectors for broken windows and.
Danny, get off your ass and get into the garage. Out of the chair, into the garage.
Yeah, you gotta work off some of that big old steak. You eat one of them things and know what it's like. Makes you want to go in there and take you a nice nap.
Let's go to Guatemala today.
You want to go to Guatemala today?
Yeah,
Eat some Aztec food.
yeah,
If they're open, we haven't been down there in a long time. They might
yeah.
not be
They'll be
open.
open.
We need to find some new places like that. We keep looking, and I haven't found anything that's anywhere close to looking like it might be good. See, like this, you can't use that whole full size to go in there.
Right.
It cuts too much metal.
You need a right and a left ground into that tool. Inside, outside.
Yeah, in one tool. 'Cause
Right.
I don't want to be changing tools because then your setup
Or you
changes and your numbers change.
Yeah.
So you got to grind this
Left.
a left and right on it, which
Okay.
means when this tool's ground, this side, if this is the top up here, this side has to be ground away a lot. And this side can be almost vertical. Because you're cutting a small diameter here.
You need to take
And
it to a
you're
machine
off of
shop
it.
that has one of those grinders that they clamp that into, and it's got the stone going around, it's got a handle on it, and it's got water feeding on it. Zit, 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 zit.
Yeah, I wonder what they charge me for that.
$100, maybe more.
And then the top, I mean, the profile view of it, it has to be ground down at an angle like this. This can be flat.
Surface grinder, that's what it's
Yeah,
called.
and then this has to be ground on the radius. That's symmetrical. Or you get a different radius when you run this way than you do when you run this way. So that has to be symmetrical. It has to be cut like that. It has to be cut like that. It has to be cut back like that. And maybe even cut. Well, you couldn't do that. If you did it flat, it'd be all right. But a lot of them, they put an angle on this side, but it only cuts one direction. You know, that's why you make a left one and a right one.
Right. Inside, outside.
Yeah. But you're trying to do both with one. This is just for chips. If you run this back flat, the chips tend to just curl up here or make big long strains and don't break off. But if you angle this a little bit, probably not, that's grossly too much. But if you angle this a little bit, it makes the chip break. It's called chip breaker. You can also do that.
So
by
you need,
pausing for a second. You see, this one's done just like that. It's ground at an angle like this.
yeah,
It's ground in like this on one side, in like this on the other side, but it's flat.
I see it.
You see, it doesn't have that angle in the front for a chip breaker.
What's he say now?
Rob. I'll have to watch that later. It's some video. So, yeah, it'll probably take me an hour. I'll probably spend an hour grinding this thing, maybe even longer. And have one of them nice Tormac water cooled grinding stone things would be nice. DRO, rotary table. $4,000 and I'd be all set up.
Okay, it says, I will not receive a physical Inside Track Club membership card if you purchased your membership online. So I got a number here. Membership benefits online email with a personal inside number below. You can access membership benefits in the store with your email or personal inside track code. Okay, good. I get that big deal, 3 cents off.
For a purchase over $45. There's a catch to all that stuff. And then you gotta watch it because like some their ads, they'll say, yeah, offer not good for Hercules tools or
Yeah, I got
whatever
that,
and
yeah.
all that stuff, you know. Well, what the hell good is it for me if I can't use it on all this high dollar stuff or whatever? Save 30% on anything $9 or less.
Yeah.
And I want to save 30% on that generator that's $1,500 over there in the corner.
Yeah. That's the same thing that happened when I bought my remember that Scorpion gun I brought over here? They took all my stuff, they wrung me out and said, where's my discount? Well, we gave the discount on the $2 item. No, I want it on this.
yeah, heck yeah, where you get something actually off.
They gave it to me, but.
Well, most of the time it only covers tax anyway.
Right.
10 or 20% coupon, basically you get it tax free. So is that much of a savings? It's a savings. Is it worth it? Probably not.
$29. Whatever, we'll see what I get.
I got the card in my pocket inside track, although I expired. They got me on record now. They told me that I expired. I can't use it. But they actually gave me a real good deal on that thing. I got a lot more off on that thing than what met the eye, because the batteries were supposed to be, it was like $69 for that. Just the buffer.
This got hook and loop on it. I don't know. How you gonna attach the pads? Oh, here's the hook and loop right here. There we go.
See, that buffer itself was supposed to be $79.99, $80. And I got it for $51.68. Then the batteries are regularly $24.99, and I got them for $20 a piece. And that came out to $92 for that and 2 batteries. Then I had to pay another $40 to get a battery charger.
This is well made though. I mean,
Probably looks just like your Snap-on one.
no.
How many volt battery?
My Snap-on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, that's just 12 volt.
You sure?
Yeah.
This says it's made in Temecula, California. Variable speed, reduced risk of injury, accessories, blah, blah, blah. It's got a California address on it.
Import address.
It's got a little handle spot
The
there.
thing is I wanted that smallness. You know, you get a regular drill, battery operated drill, and everything sticks out so far from your hand, it wears your wrist out trying to sit there and keep it under control.
I think my buffer's 20 volt. I know the batteries last a long time. They go up in the handle and on the bottom. And you seen it, didn't you?
Yeah.
They're a little tiny battery, little footprint. And it's a good tool.
Those you can use,
5 amp hour batteries.
well, I don't know how bad that would hurt that to move up on voltage.
Well, I bought some batteries for my DeWalt Impact. I don't know, even think $125 for 2 batteries. I don't even know whether I'm going to be able to use them. They're stack packed lithium ion, and I read the small print. It says for XR, compatible with XR. Well, my drill Impact is not an XR.
Yeah, you know, my DeWalt down here, I think those are similar to DeWalt, and you can do something to make these batteries work in that.
And they sell an adapter.
You have to grind a little place out on them. And they're very similar with the little slots. But there's something in the handle of that thing that you gotta grind out to allow this to slide into it. But this is a 20 volt, and I don't wanna burn that thing up. And this thing runs, I've used it all day long and not run out of one battery. I like these new DeWalt tools, they seem to work pretty good.
They come from China too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everything comes from China.
Everything's from China. We're at a loss. Our country is at a terrible loss. Distributed by Harbor Freight Tools, Calabasas, California, designed in California, professionally made in China for Hercules tools.
It seems good quality. I mean, it feels like quality, and
You know,
over mold is nice.
China is like
Japan.
anything else. So Japan was, if you send them a, you know, I want this kind of plastic used, I want this kind of metal used, and it has to have a hardness of X and X, and
They're good copiers.
they'll give you real close to that, but you gotta watch out if you give them the contract to go into production and all of a sudden they'll cheapen up all that stuff that your prototype was made with, and then you get this junk that's on the market, and then they steal your design and start producing it themselves under, you know, a different name. And, you know, now, if you want to get something a better quality than Chinese, go to Japan.
You bet.
Look at Japanese equipment, Japanese tools and stuff like that, and you'll get a much, much higher quality. And they take a lot of pride in that.
This is much lighter than mine.
Yeah, but you got your sheeted and everything already.
Yeah.
All the shear webbing in it and stuff.
And they got landing gear blocks in it. It's 3 ounces per side. It'd be a 6 ounce wing. Ounce overweight.
Yeah. This wing was 5 ounces at that stage.
With everything. Yeah. Leading edge sheeting in the right. It's an ounce overweight.
And that'll be an ounce overweight there too. It just doesn't feel it right now.
Because there's nothing in it.
Yeah, you know, you felt like that. He's like, man, this feels really good. You know, that's why you're in your videos. This is really nice. Put it on that scale. Man, that weighs an ounce and a half. Damn, that should only weigh an ounce.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, those flaps, I mean, I can remember that day just as clear as a bell. I brought them things out there to the flying fields. Sparky, check this out right here. We might be onto something here, bud. You know, I used this 3/4 pound foam and all this stuff on them. So they come out just as heavy as everything else does, or heavier.
Heavier, because all the glue.
Yeah, you sheet that stuff and you got glue on the whole surface instead of just a perimeter. So buildup is light as, these are all buildup.
That's
These
what
aren't
it is.
solid wood.
I still can't figure out why you did the tips like this, why you didn't go over like I did here.
What do you mean? Oh, cover the, oh, I don't know. I wanted to pop these off and hollow them out.
Well, these are hollowed
Once I
out.
get-
These are hollowed out before I put the sheeting on.
Yeah. I don't know. Give me more wiggle room to be able to shape them.
I wonder if I sanded the 10th off of it today.
No. I doubt it. You can't weigh the amount you sand off. Unless you're carving a big giant block.
Yes, I did. 1.9. So it was right on the edge.
Yeah, he must have been flipping back and forth. Like he cut these up for me the other day when you were over here. I still don't think they're gonna come out any lighter than these.
Then I'll take these.
No, you won't. I mean, they're still good. If I gotta use them, I gotta use those. Except these are built up. Yeah, what's built up versus solid?
Let's see what this one weighs.
That's the one you weighed, isn't it?
No. Same weight, 1.9. Let's check grams. Tear. This one is 54 grams, and mine is 55 grams, so it's a gram lighter.
And if I hollow those tips out and sand them to shape,
It'll be nothing.
you won't be able to tell the difference. It's still weigh the same.
All this means is there'll be less paint on it.
Maybe. If you thin your paint enough, then put it on white enough, then it'll be less paint.
I mean, it feels,
It feels great.
yeah.
I mean, you hand that to anybody and everybody says, wow, man, that is nice. That is really light. No, it isn't. See, I even sanded my leading edge and stuff down to an airfoil,
I don't like that.
sort of shape. There's been tests done to having a flat with just a blunt rounded leading edge opposed to a sort of airfoil thing, and that I think this comes out just a fraction of a bit supposedly better, but it really, you know, you'd have to be a pro flyer to notice the difference in the two. I made many of them just like that. They flew just fine.
Fine, it was a solid piece of wood. Matter of fact, if I could get a light piece of wood, this would be solid.
Yeah. You can't get it any lighter than a solid piece of wood if the wood's sliding out.
Right.
But you can't take that and take a 10-pound piece of 4-inch wood and make it that light. Even cutting it all out, it still won't be that light. It's built up with lighter wood.
Well, that's how this was done.
You can't do this with 32nd inch wood.
No, not even.
You can't make this with it. It'd have all sorts of little doodads. You couldn't sand it. Whatever you glued
Use
up
three-
is what you got.
You use 3/32, right?
On this?
Yeah.
I think I used 16th on this.
So almost this wood is 3/32.
I think this is all 16th.
3/8 and 3/32.
It's probably 3/32 ribs, 3/8 inch square around the perimeter,
What's the sheeting though?
16.
This is 3/32.
All right. You gotta have good 3/32 to use it. That was my lightest wood.
Don't believe anybody that says, well, if you got 5-pound 1/8 inch, you can use 10-pound 16th. It don't work like that.
I don't think it does. Plus, you don't have any sanding room.
Right.
I mean, you go to 16. I built some full-size airplanes like this out of nothing but 16th inch wood.
Yeah.
And they're a pain in the butt. I mean, you know how hard it is just to handle a wing as you're building it. Try doing the whole airplane like that until you get it in covering. I mean, even at this point, it's fragile.
Giant liquidation. And the prices are exactly the same.
So now you're on their email list, and you'll be getting 5 of those a day. I save them for a week. Their ads, and then I delete them because you'll have 5 new ads on that stuff prior to that, and their sales normally last about a week. And you got to watch on their parking lot sales because that might be scratch and dent. Might be open boxes, return stuff. Did they give you anything off?
Not really.
Look up that little buffer in there. I bet you it's probably $89 now.
Oh well, guys, I think we're gonna go to lunch. I'm hungry. Need to eat us some Aztec food. Appreciate you watching. Sorry we haven't had a Saturday at John's in a while. Sorry I ain't doing nothing. But at least you got to hang out with us this Saturday. So we'll see you back at the house. Fair winds, tight lines. See ya. Oh, I gotta shut it off over here. 209, 17 thumbs up. All right, see you later.